You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's topic is how to change bad sleep habits into good ones. Sleep disruptions, shift work, too much nighttime screen time, and insufficient deep sleep hours can increase stress levels, sensitivity, anxiety, brain fog, metabolic syndrome, heart problems, and more. The less restorative sleep, the more stress on the body and the more we lose magnesium, which in turn increases stress sensitivity. It's a vicious cycle and a downward spiral. What can we do to turn this destructive cycle around? My special guest today is Liz Chelak, founder of Evolve Therapy and Counseling and creator of the Sovereign Body Method, a structured nervous system-based therapy. So welcome aboard, Liz. Lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.
My first question is, why do people sometimes ignore the importance of deep, restful sleep? And what does it do to the central nervous system if we don't get that kind of sleep?
Why we ignore it, I think we all have our reasons. I think maybe why I used to ignore it is I thought I have a lot to get done and like I'll sleep when I'm dead. And we have to be productive. And that was kind of more important to me. I just wanted to get all my things done. And then I also wanted to, live my life and have fun. I think we're all just very busy and we kind of forget because we can some people can like not sleep and still go and live their life and go about their day and go to work and kind of like get by, so we don't like see the effects right away, I think. But yeah, I mean, it definitely does affect a lot more than I think, even when I was younger, like I didn't understand how really important it is. And it's so important because I mean, yeah, you're right. Like it affects our brain. It affects, from my, clinical perspective, it really affects our emotional regulation, our ability to process information and like even our memory and things like that. And also our perception, I think, 'cause, when you're like tired, you can definitely perceive things a lot differently than maybe what is the reality.
Yeah, so we maybe when we're younger, we don't really understand ourselves or how our body works best, and we think we're invincible and we think we're superheroes and we don't need sleep. We can be like machines
Yeah.
and just, try and get as much done as we can. So we do live in a world which has a lot of pressures. There's economic pressures and, you've got to try and fit everything in. And then there's social media and, the internet has meant there's less private time for people to just, recover, just to be in a space with nothing happening and no distractions. I think we live in a world of constant distraction and we have to work hard to preserve a space where we can just chill and stop that merry-go-round. And so when we don't do that enough, we can't get into that proper sleep cycle because it's kind of a rhythm, isn't it? It's a day and night rhythm, and we lose that rhythm, we lose connection with the proper rhythm that helps us recover. Yeah, so some people try and sleep, or they may know how important sleep is, because you do feel when you don't get enough sleep like you're drunk. There,
Yes.
there's a lot of toxic residues left in the brain which mimic, alcohol abuse, and that kind of brain fog, and that, you can get terrible headaches and, just feel really off and not yourself. And if people can't get to sleep, no matter how much they try, they're awake and their brain is ticking and going off and thinking about what happened before and what they need to do in the future. And it's just on overdrive and can't
Yeah.
switch off. How do you deal with those issues?
Well, it's like our, like I said, our nervous system is affected by our lack of sleep, but also then this kind of nervous system that's always on will also affect our ability to go to sleep, even if we want to, But some of it is habits. I feel like that we can definitely work on. Like there's a lot of things that I like to tell my clients, but I also tell them like pick what works for you because trying to implement all of these things and like change your whole life and your whole sleep routine is overwhelming. But I recently started kind of like telling people about some things that I think are very effective that are not common knowledge, even just like getting sun exposure in your eyes, kind of like an hour, 90 minutes before waking up or having sun exposure to the sunset so that way we can see that change in light also tells our brain that sleep is coming the time we drink coffee so it's like all of these different things. I think it depends on the specific person, like whatever that person wants to implement. But with my method that I developed, the sovereign body method, we would probably just start with regulating that nervous system first so that once you are ready for sleep, you can kind of fall asleep quicker and easier. If your nervous system is more relaxed and more regulated just throughout the day, when it's time for sleep, falling asleep can be easier. Because some people, lay down and they can't sleep, or they wake up, in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., and they're just up. And that's just a dysregulated nervous system.
Yes, the autonomic nervous system becomes dysregulated. So that's the background system that takes care of automatic things like breathing. And you don't think about your heart beating, you don't think about things like that, but it happens automatically. So that's all part of the autonomic nervous system, which also needs to be you have to work with it to be able to
Yeah.
get to sleep. And so that requires a little bit of conscious change, doesn't it? You have in order to change habits, you've got to be aware of what habits to change and how to do it. So, what kind of steps do you advocate to help people move from their autonomic nervous system that got into a bad habit and reprogramming it in a way and put a new and a better program in that system?
So I am big on simplicity, whatever is the simplest thing that we can do, but something that we can implement daily into our lives because it's the repetition that rewires, right? So for a lot of people, I just recommend, we also live in our head a lot, and that can also affect our sleep because even when we lay down, it's like, okay, but did I do enough today? Was I productive enough today? What do I have to do tomorrow? I have to prepare for tomorrow. We kind of always have this. So like I like to kind of
That little
try to
voice just doesn't shut up sometimes, right?
yeah, right. It can be a lot. How can you sleep when it's so loud? But I like to kind of just help people. Again, for everybody's different. We find what works for everybody, but just a way to drop down into the body and just even release that tension that we're kind of carrying with us throughout the day. Not in moments where we're stressed, not in moments where we're already anxious, but kind of, finding those moments where you're kind of at a baseline where you feel more or less okay, more or less relaxed, just noticing where that tension is and releasing it, whether it's with breath work, whether it's with, looking at some trees in the wind or, touching something soft, whatever works. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's that regular practice of releasing that tension that helps us regulate. And then it decreases our baseline of this, kind of go, 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 nonstop, nonstop, always tense, always, and get things done. And then once we do encounter a stressful situation or anxiety or, some sort of pressure, we have like a bigger window of tolerance for those things. We have more capacity to deal with those things.
So it's more than just a case of having some bedtime hygiene protocols. Some people might put on some nice music and dim the lights and obviously turn off the TV screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go through certain protocols, have a nice warm shower and put some magnesium cream on and maybe some essential oils if you really like a fragrance that makes you feel calm and relaxed. So and yoga exercises, as you mentioned, breathing. So people can evolve a set of steps, and as they repeat those steps, they get closer and closer to, and the brain starts to recognize, oh, these are the steps before I get to sleep. And
Yeah.
it kind of sinks in with that repetitive process if you establish the new repetition. But what you're saying is that you need to be doing other things during the day as well. So you mentioned sunlight and exposing your eyes. I mean, I don't look directly at the light, but
Yeah.
the morning light as it comes up is very mild. The sun is very mild, but that light then tells the brain, oh, it's daytime and I've got this much time before I get to the nighttime. And that light then triggers the brain and the cortisol and the hormones for the waking cycle, so to help you be awake. But it also sets off a timer that
Yeah.
the nighttime is coming in X amount of hours where I need to also get to sleep. And so that's in your brain memory already because of that
Mm.
light exposure.
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating how that works. I think that's the light message getting into the super charismatic center of the brain that is your time clock, your internal body rhythm time clock. And so, that's why people who go on trips around the world and they're in one time zone and then another, they take extra melatonin to try and get over jet lag. Jet lag is when you feel like crap because your whole body rhythm's been upset. Your time
Yeah.
clock doesn't really know what time of day it is. And so by giving your body that melatonin, it moves it into a different sync or in a different rhythm again to the time zone you're in. But obviously, normally we want our own body to make that melatonin in its normal sleep cycle. And it's fascinating, isn't it, that it can't make the melatonin unless the cortisol, which is a stress hormone, switches off. It's like a doorway. It's a two-way
Yeah.
doorway. You're either swinging out or swinging in through that rhythmic
Yeah.
doorway.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think all of these like nighttime evening practices are amazing and so impactful. But I know for a lot of people, myself included, right? We know, you know, sometimes we do know what we need to do, right? We know like, meditating is going to help us. We know doing maybe yoga is going to help us, or like some sort of physical activity is going to help us. Turning off the TV at night is going to help us. But I feel like it can be so hard to kind of implement all of those things. And that's why I try to find something that's super easy. Um, Something that doesn't I think it's also like something that doesn't take a lot of time, because if I think of like, oh, okay, I have to do yoga and I'm like, but that's gonna take me, like 30 minutes, and then I have to like get my mat out and then I have to put my mat away. So I feel like for a lot of people, especially if they're already dysregulated and their nervous system is already kind of like in this highly activated state for a long period of time, that can like be very hard for us to do. That's why, what you said about the cortisol, I feel like just first, if all of that is too hard right now, I mean, if you can do it, wonderful. I mean, I love that. But if all of that is too hard right now, then just kind of regulating the nervous system through this like constant daily, just whenever you can, releasing tension from the body decreases that cortisol. So then everything else can kind of, continue working properly.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about your attention and where you put your attention and focus. And
Mm.
if you focus on your breath or just being in the moment outside under a tree and noticing the leaves, if you're focusing on those kind of things, your chattering mind which is all beta brainwaves, yak 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 at a high level. All that kind of stops and gets pushed aside, and then you're focusing on this moment, which is peace. It's a
Hmm.
peaceful focus. And if we do that consciously at various times of the day, we can learn to control that central nervous system function a bit more. Is that
Well, yeah. Yeah, because I know that like a lot of people, especially if we've been under stress for a long time or we have any maybe traumatic experiences or in just any adverse experiences, that trains us to have this like attention on everything outside of us, right? Of like what's going on, who's there, how am I being perceived, how is this person feeling? And that's where we get the people pleasing from, right? We're just trying to always control the external environment. And the most healing thing can be just that interoception, right? Just focusing on what's going on inside. And I think we can start very small. That's why I say, listen, if it should take a few seconds. Just notice what's going on like inside of your body for a second. Notice because like we're holding so much tension that we don't notice, I think. Because we possibly could be in like fight or flight or just dysregulated and kind of just like letting that go when it's actually safe to let it go. So I do think, yeah, you're right. It's like a lot of focus on us, on the internal, on inside, on our body also. And yeah,
So
I, the focus, yeah.
is it like being just more consciously aware of what's going on inside? So your feelings, sensations in the body, rather than being on autopilot and having your attention focused outside and on other things.
Yeah.
When you get in your car and you go to the destination, you've traveled that distance many times, but you're thinking about something else, and suddenly you just arrive and you go, "Oh, I'm here now. I don't remember driving here."
Yeah.
Your mind was just somewhere else.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is to get back in control of our automatic pilot, our autonomic nervous system. We need to develop um, control of our focus. Where is our attention going? And
Mm.
if you can place your attention on what's going on inside and your body sensations and what it's doing, if it's not doing something pleasant, if it's making you feel yuck, stressed,
Yeah.
frustrated, angry, all those negative emotions, if you can start to realize that that is actually going on in you rather than letting it escalated, you can then do something to shift it sideways, such as move to that peaceful space that you've
Yeah.
cultivated. And so when you can do that, you become more of a master of your
Mm.
body and your mind because it's an instrument, it's a tool. The tail shouldn't be wagging the dog, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then of your feelings too, because if we kind of have this practice of noticing what's going on in us, in our body, and then we start to feel something, our feelings are important information. If we're feeling something, something in the environment is important to us, and they can be really good guidance for us as well, right? Like if we're angry, what's making us angry? If we're feeling frustrated, I just feel like there's something important there, and if we actually listen to that feeling instead of trying to push it away, then we can do something, that is right for us, and then let it go. But I think it all starts with this, yeah, like focus, dropping down the focus from the mind to the body.
Yeah, and the idea that you can control it. When I say control, be consciously aware of it. Because if you're consciously aware of it, there's a degree of separation, isn't there? You become an observer from the outside in, and everything becomes more conscious rather than
Yeah,
unconscious. I think that's the key.
yeah,
When you feel that you can direct the traffic, direct your body better, support it better, rather than being on some kind of out of control car, some driverless car, the body as an analogy,
yeah,
driverless car. Where is it going? What's it doing? Can I get out? Please stop. You,
yeah,
you need to stop being this kind of victim that's captured by the
yeah,
body and its systems and understand that consciously you can get back your master control system and then
yeah.
experience a much better life and feel freer and feel not trapped. And that takes a lot of anxiety away and a lot of stress.
Yeah, it really does because a lot of us we're trying to avoid feeling big negative emotions because they're unpleasant. And maybe it makes us feel weak, for feeling some type of way, but at the same time, trying to avoid those feelings allows them to control us more. So if we actually are able to notice those feelings and kind of just sit with it in a relaxed body, we can know that we can feel this big thing, but I'm still okay feeling it and I don't have to react to it. I can choose how I respond to it now, and I can make the right choices from that because our body's not going to lie to us. Our thoughts lie, but our body's not going to lie to us. So I feel like it's a lot of very useful information that sometimes we're missing just because we are living in our head.
Yeah, and it's all about conscious observation of what's going on. So we live in a world where people are reactive
Yeah.
sometimes, and they lose their shit, and
Oh yeah.
sometimes it's not your fault, but it makes you feel like slimed when someone does that, right?
Yeah.
Let go of that hurt feeling or that yuck feeling, and it follows you. It follows you to sleep. You can't stop thinking about it. So maybe something like that. But if you learn to consciously observe that as a separate thing, see
Yeah.
as something happening to your body as a separate feeling, like you're just watching it and
Mhm.
noticing it. And then you can analyze it and go, well, I didn't deserve that. That's not my stuff. That's somebody else. I feel sorry for them that, they had to go through this. But you can acknowledge that's not mine. And I can let
Yeah.
it go. I can deflect. I can just drop it from my feeling level, my hurt. It doesn't hurt anymore because I've analyzed it and it's a bit of garbage. I put it in the bin and
Yep.
taken that garbage out and it's finished now. It's all cleaned up. So you can use these kind of mind techniques to not allow emotional injuries or hurt or confrontations take you over and eat you up, because if you don't learn to do that, that's constant internal stress that really wears you down. It can lead to disease. People keep stewing forever on something,
Yeah.
and it's not right. They haven't been able to resolve it. And, constantly they're losing a lot of magnesium, and that's not good for your health, because you need magnesium to feel calm and relaxed. It works with the GABA system. So when we need to relax, we need enough magnesium to help get into that space. It directly suppresses the adrenaline, the fight or flight. And if we don't have enough in the body, then we become overreactive. It's harder to keep control because you lose that strength, that inner strength. Um, so you need both things working together, obviously, the good nutrition and, self-care, but also the mindfulness that you're talking about, being able to observe what's going on and be the master and run that show and recognize things for what they are and
Yeah.
not allow bad things to continue. Like, you not to feed the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people can kind of understand most of the, not always, because sometimes it's really hard, like somebody does something to us and it hurts. And, yeah, there's a level of like we have to understand that most of the time people are projecting, right? A lot of times the way people treat us has more to do with them and where they're at and less with us. But sometimes I feel like even if we logically understand that, it still hurts and it can still hurt for a long time and we can kind of hold on to that. Even though with our brain we understand it. So I think there's also a level of actually allowing that feeling to be felt for a little bit, but then like letting it go through the body. And that's why we're kind of big on somatic therapy, is because we need that release of that feeling, after you
Process.
decide, yeah, after you just, you feel that feeling, maybe you decide like, okay, I actually need to set a boundary, or I actually need to stand up for myself, or I need to just, leave the situation, or whatever it might be, your body's going to tell you that, but also a way to let it go so we don't store it forever and hold on to it.
Well, that's it. So after you've analyzed and defined what the problem is and what you can then move to another step and, well, what are the solutions?
Mm.
What do I need to do to fix something? To, as you said, set your boundaries, which is very
Yeah,
important, um, because that also gives you strength and confidence. When you've done that, you stop the bully, right? Stop the bullying. Just
yeah,
set your boundaries. So no, put your hand up and say, stop, stop. And you have the right to say that.
yeah,
Mm. But you can't get to that space unless you first start to become mindful, a mindful observer of what's going on in your internal space.
yeah,
And then, the next step is to create better solutions with your prefrontal cortex. So your reasoning mind is able to work better when it's not under stress, to
yeah.
make better decisions.
Yeah, and I think it also, could depend on the situation too. I know some people who can set boundaries, except with that one person, that feels unsafe, or they kind of know, like, if I say no, if I say stop, then it's going to kind of prompt even a bigger attack with that person. So I think the more regulated we are, the more grounded we are, the more we like truly like stay with ourselves and are connected with ourselves, then we can really get to a point where, well, that person can do anything. But I know that I got me at the end of the day, no matter what. And if I really need to, I'll leave. They can do their thing. And I'm still going to be okay because I know I'm going to make the right decisions for myself because I know what the right decisions are because I'm listening to me.
Yes, yes. And that's important. And the more you practice that, the more you attract other people who are like-minded
Yeah,
and who respect your boundaries, where
yeah,
you don't have to defend so much. And, life just gets better. And then you're able to get better sleep because you start to develop confidence in your
yeah,
mastership of yourself and your body. You can't control other people,
yeah,
but you can learn to control yourself and
yeah,
be the boss, be the master, direct that traffic, know where to put your attention, know how to detect alarm signals in your body, know how to deal with them. It's all a strategy of self-management. Um,
yeah.
it would be wonderful if everyone on the planet can develop these techniques of self-management.
I would love that.
I know. It would be just such a nirvana, beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful place. So
yeah,
we have that goal, right? We work towards that goal. I
definitely.
think the first place to start is on yourself. So, that internal observation, we can self-correct better and learn the right strategies, not to keep hurting ourselves. Sometimes we
Yeah,
sabotage ourselves without even realizing it in an unconscious way.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So we're coming close to the end of the podcast. Would you like to let people know where to go to find out more about what you do?
So our website has a lot of information about the sovereign body method, about all the therapists that work at Evolve, and it's just evolvetherapycounseling.com. Very simple. And I'm also on Instagram. My name, Liz Chelak.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank
Really lovely to
you.
talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.